Welcome to the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop, woodworking with an Appalachian flair.
This is Jerill with the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. Today I want to talk to you about a hand plane I recently obtained. And I know you've seen a lot of videos on refurbishing hand planes. This video is going to focus on the history of this hand plane. So let's start with the hand plane itself. It's a Stanley-Bailey number 5, type 19. That means this plane was manufactured between 1948 and 1961 inclusive. Now those dates are important, or at least they're important to me. My wife's maternal grandfather, his name was Wilbur. He was born in 1898, and unfortunately he passed away in 1959 at the age of, I believe it was 61. He had a sawmill and a shop, and he was a contractor. So he would mill logs into boards, and he would mill those boards into different molding and flooring and different things, and as a contractor he would install these. He did that in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and right up to the 1950s. Now in 1956, Wilbur built a house for my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, and they still live in that house today. My mother-in-law, who at that time was 21 years old, she remembers her dad utilizing his hand plane when he trimmed out the house, hung the doors and things like that. She will be turning 90 in about 7 weeks. My father-in-law turned 95 about a month ago, and when he turned 95, that's when they pulled this out of his tool room and asked me if I'd be interested in it. Now my father-in-law has a tool room in the basement of the house. It is a climate-controlled room, and that's where he keeps all of his tools. So Wilbur purchased this before he built the house in 1956 because he used this when he trimmed out the house. We know that. Unfortunately, he died in 1959. So this plane resided in my father-in-law's tool room for about 70 years with very, very minimal use. Now, Wilbur obviously used this a good bit, but he took very, very good care of it. So before I disassemble it, I want to go over and look at it. If you notice the knob, it's in real good shape, but it's got some of the finish chipped off of it right through here, probably when things were thrown on top of it inside a toolbox. The tote is in excellent shape. You can still see the original finish. It is just a little loose, but I think I can take care of that. The sole is in good shape. It's got some stains on it. And back here at the heel, it's got a wee little bit of pitting right here, probably where it sat in a little bit of moisture when it was sitting on the bench. The sides look good. It's got some splotches on it, some kind of a finish that was on it that should scrape off. The japanning is in excellent, excellent shape. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and take this apart. And what I have here is some water. And I'm going to add a little bit of detergent. And I'm going to go ahead and soak these. And clean them that way. So the cap iron and the blade are in good shape. It does have surface rust on it. I cannot read. Yeah, the logo is Stanley, made in USA. I want to keep the logo. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this apart and let it soak. Most of this will just be given a good cleaning, and then I'll use a little bit of elbow grease and some very, very fine sandpaper to remove the surface rust. Now we're down to the frog, and I can tell by looking at the screws right down in here, this has not been taken apart for a long time. You can see some surface rust on the machine parts. Man, it comes apart real easy. This plane's been very well taken care of. And now we can see the frog. And you can see the surface rust down here and up in through here. Turn it over and you got a little bit of surface rust down here. This is not too bad. So let me go ahead and see if I can get the adjuster knob all the way off. As I said, this is in really, really good shape. And it's because it's been very well taken care of. Now, I'm not going to bother taking the yoke out. I'll clean it without taking it apart. The lateral adjuster works good, but I noticed the disc does not pivot, so I'll work on that. But for now, I'm just going to put that down in the cleaning solution, let it soak. Now, let's look at, let me go ahead and you can look at these screws and you can tell this has not been taken apart. This plane cannot get over the condition of this plane. Excellent condition for the age. Oh wow. Look right here at the Japanning right there. Excellent. So the rest of this, when it cleans up, should be that good. And as you can see, the knob is in real good shape also. So now let's look at the tote. Oh yeah. Usually that's the one that gives us problems right there. There's why it was loose. The screw down here at the toe was a little loose. Yeah, that's in real good shape. Real good shape. Now I want you to look, let me go ahead and take this last one out right here. Now look down in here, you can see the sawdust, but the Japanning is like brand new. So this, I'll probably just clean it very gently with a brush. Let me get some compressed air and blow that off. Now you can see what good shape that's in. There is a little bit of surface rust down here where the frog sets. I'll have to take care of that. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in the soapy water. I don't even think I'm going to have to let that soak. Now I've got some soft brushes here, which I'm going to use. Now here's what I wanted to show you. Look how good that Japanning looks. Very, very good shape. So this will clean up real good. It's got a little something right there. Looks like that was a little bit of paint. Now somewhere there was some splatter on the side of it. Oh, right here, this side. Right there. Some kind of a finish, a film finish got dripped or splattered onto the side of it there. Razor blade. If you don't have a razor blade, you can use a card scraper. Card scrapers work good, but for this, like I said, this hand plane is in exceptional shape. So it's just going to get cleaned up. And reassembled and fine-tuned. So there's no use me showing you how I sand this with extremely fine wet dry sandpaper. So I'm going to do some work off camera, and then I'll come back and show it to you in just a little bit. Okay, I've spent maybe 3 to 5 minutes. I'm using 600 grit wet dry sandpaper, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. And for a lubricant, I've used WD-40 just to make it a little bit easier. Now you can see where I've cleaned this part and have not cleaned this part back here. Now I personally like the patina on the metal. That's the reason why I don't like using acid if I don't have to. This plane's in such good shape, all it needs is a little bit of cleaning up, a little bit of elbow grease, and this will be as good as new, and it will not look like one that has been put through an acid bath or sandblaster. It'll look well used as it has been. So let me go ahead and finish the sides, and then before I lap the bottom, I'll clean all this up and reassemble it and then lap the bottom. Okay, I've got the hand plane completely cleaned up. All the parts are cleaned. Put it back together. I have not done anything to the tote or the knob, but what I'm getting ready to do is lap the sole. I want to see if the pitting back here is going to be a problem and see how flat it is. And of course the plane has to be completely assembled in order to do that. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. I've got a piece of man-made countertop over here which is good and flat. I'll put some sandpaper on that, lap the sole, and then come back and show you what it looks like after that. Okay, I just got finished lapping the sole. You can see it's in real nice shape. Did have a little hollow spot here, back here. Normally when I lap a sole, I start at 120. I had to step down to 100, and that still wasn't low enough, so I went down to 80. Lapped it on 80 grit for about 5 minutes, and then worked my way up 100, 120, 150, 180, 220, then 400, and then 600. That's as high as I go. So that's real good. I'm real satisfied with the way it came out. So tomorrow I will take it back apart, sharpen the blade, and I'll decide then whether I want to finish the handles, the knob, and the tote. But so far, it's cleaned up much better than I thought it would. Okay, I've taken the knob and the tote off of the Handplane, and I used a carbide tip scraper to scrape the finish off. It came off real easy. You can see it just crumbled when it came off. And then I had to sand, and I started with 100 and sanded all the way up to 220. And I do that by hand. I don't do that with a mechanical sander or put this on the drill press or lathe or anything. I do it all by hand and go with the grain so it minimizes the scratches. I'm very pleased with these handles. I was afraid with this being a Type 19 that this would be a white wood, but it's not. As you can see, it's a walnut. The only problem is the knob is quite a bit lighter than the tote, even though they're both walnut. So what I've done, I've mixed up an oil varnish blend, and I have made one a little bit darker than the other, which will go on the knob, and then the lighter walnut will go on the tote. And I'll give it a couple coats, let it dry, and then I'll probably come back and do some wet sanding with some 600 grit. Now this is an oil varnish blend. And as you know, when you put this on, you just flood it. Let it go in everywhere. Use a different rag for the lighter colored walnut varnish blend. Yeah, I think it's going to even out the color quite a bit. Now, a lot of people like some type of a protective film finish on their handles. I prefer an oil type finish and then wax. I don't like the plastic look that you get from a film finish, and I think it feels more natural if it is oil finish and then wax on top of that. So what I'm going to do is let these soak for about 10 or 15 minutes, give it a second coat, and then I'm going to let them dry. Then I will come back and give it another coat and wet sand with some 600 grit sandpaper. And then after that sets up and dries real good, then I'll give it a coat of wax. Then the only thing left would be sharpening the blade. Okay, I just got finished sharpening the blade. I've got the cap iron on it. Just going to put it back together here. I really like the way the knobs turned out. I gave them a coat of wax. I like the collar. So overall, this Handplane turned out really good. It's in excellent shape. So this is one I'll use for quite a while, and hopefully it'll last for another 70, 80, 90 years. This is Jerill with the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop reminding you, be proud of your Appalachian heritage.